So, you'd like to get clear on the relationship between spelling and punctuation. That's definitely a good idea, because you can often make spelling mistakes because you make punctuation mistakes. For example, should a word contain a hyphen? This is a question about punctuation. But if you make the wrong choice, you spell the word incorrectly. But before we get down to the nitty-gritty of punctuation and spelling, let's see what you already know. I've got a short exercise I'd like you to complete. Once you've finished this exercise, I'll have a much better idea of how much you know about punctuation and spelling, and so I'll be able to focus on where you need help. OK, so let's get down. OK, so word 1. How do you spell it's, as in, it's a very nice day? Spell the word it's. Thank you. Word 2. How do you spell the word 35, as in, there were only 35 people at the game? Spell the word 35. Thank you. Now word 3. How do you spell the word children's, as in, the children's toys were quite expensive? Spell the word children's. Thank you. OK, number 4. How do you spell the word goodness, as in, thank goodness no one was hurt? Spell the word goodness. Thank you. Halfway, word 5. How do you spell in fact, as in, he was in fact very rich? Spell in fact. Thank you. Number 6. How do you spell the word France, as in, we went to France on our vacation? Spell the word France. Thank you. Word 7. How do you spell the word short term, as in, we left the car in the short-term parking lot? Spell the word short term. Thank you. Word 8. How do you spell the word February? As in, it can sometimes be cold in February. Spell the word February. Thank you. Word 9. How do you spell the word ladies? As in, all the ladies' hats were green. Spell the word ladies. Thank you. And finally, word 10. How do you spell the word whereas? As in, John is from London, whereas Mary is from Manchester. Spell the word whereas. OK, that's great. What that little diagnosis tells me is that we should focus on the sections on my menu here, which are highlighted in blue. You can, of course, click on any section, but these seem to be the sections that you need to focus on most. So let's start with the first highlighted item on the menu. Right, let's get going. In this section, I want to cover the points at which knowledge of spelling and knowledge of punctuation overlap. I'll cover the use of apostrophes and when you need to spell words with an apostrophe and when you don't. I'll also cover when correct spelling requires one word and when it requires two words. And also when you need hyphens and when you don't. Finally, I'll cover when correct spelling requires a capital letter. OK, so let's get going. When do you spell words like it's with an apostrophe and when do you leave one out? Well, this question of when you use an apostrophe causes all sorts of spelling mistakes. Some people put them in when they shouldn't be there, and some people leave them out when they should be there. But knowing whether you need an apostrophe or not isn't all that difficult once you understand the reasons why you use an apostrophe in the first place. So why do you use an apostrophe? Well, actually, there are two reasons. One reason for using an apostrophe is to show that letters have been left out. And a second reason is to show ownership. So, let me explain. Let's start with using an apostrophe when letters have been left out. Consider these words. We often use these words, but even more often we run them together. So instead of saying, it is a nice day, we say, it's a nice day. Instead of saying, they are very happy, we say, they're very happy. In both of these examples, the apostrophe shows that a letter has been left out and two words have been shortened or contracted into one. So one reason for using an apostrophe is to show that a letter has been left out. The other main reason is to show ownership. For example, if we say the cat's paw, we actually mean the paw of the cat. Similarly, if we say the girl's book, we mean the book belonging to the girl. In both these cases, the apostrophe makes it clear that we are dealing with ownership. And so, if you are dealing with words where the sense of ownership is implied, then you must remember to add an apostrophe. OK, now hopefully you haven't found that too difficult to understand. But just to check, try this exercise. The children's toys were really fun. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. Children's is CHILDREN apostrophe S. You need an apostrophe S on the end of children's because it is the toys belonging to the children. I bought 6 apples at the shop. Yes, you've spelled the word correctly. Apples, in this case, is just APPLES. There is no need for an apostrophe, as there is no ownership implied here. It's not the apples of someone. It's just apples, the plural of apple. Our television doesn't work anymore. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. Doesn't is spelt DOESN apostrophe T. An apostrophe is needed because doesn't is a contraction or shortening of the two words does and not. When you bring the two words together to form a contraction, you need to make it clear that two words have been contracted. You do this by using an apostrophe. I don't think there's anything we can do. Yes, you've spelled the word correctly. Theirs, in this case, is spelt THERE apostrophe S. The word theirs is a contraction of there is. So, when you drop the I, you replace it with an apostrophe. A common mistake in spelling is to spell what should be two words as one word, and what should be one word as two. For example, is upstairs one word or two words? And what about in fact? Should this be one word or two? The answer in these cases is that upstairs is one word, whereas in fact is two. But how can you tell? Well, the simple answer is that it's very difficult. Often, you just have to learn them. Common examples of single words that sound like they could be double words are although, tomorrow, upstairs, downstairs, and whereas. Try to remember that these are all just single words. Common examples of double or even triple words are as well as, a lot of, in fact, in front, in between, in spite of, and no one. One thing that you have to be very careful of, however, is that some of these words can be spelt either as a single word or as a double word. It just depends on the meaning. Take, for example, all right. You would use one word when you mean okay. So, in answer to a question like, how were your aunt and uncle, you might say, they were all right. Here you'd spell the word A-L-R-I-G-H-T. However, if you were trying to say that some kids in a class got all their spellings correct in a test, then you use two words and spell all right as two words. A-L-L-R-I-G-H-T. You just need to be careful in cases like these. Okay, so I hope all this about using one or more words is clear to you. So let's try this exercise. Are you sure you're feeling all right? Yes, that's it. Well done. All right is one word and should be spelt A-L-R-I-G-H-T. They're going to the museum tomorrow. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. Tomorrow is simply one word. Mary got a lot of presents for Christmas. Yes, you've spelled the word correctly. A lot of is three separate words. Be careful of this one. Now and then I go to the beach and sometimes I swim. Yes, you've spelled the word correctly. Sometimes in this sentence is just one word. This can be spelt as two words, but you would only do this when you're trying to make the point that sometimes can be happy and sometimes can be sad. This is quite different from the sense of the single word sometimes, which basically means now and then. Another area where punctuation affects spelling is with hyphens. When do you hyphenate words and when don't you? Well, there is no clear-cut answer to this because some words that started out with hyphens in the middle no longer require them. That is why it's often difficult to say someone has spelt a word incorrectly when they have, say, left out a hyphen. This is a very difficult area because our language keeps on evolving. However, if you understand that most hyphens help you create compound words, then you will get a good idea of why hyphens can be useful. For example, numbers like 25 should be hyphenated. Similarly, if you're referring to someone's get up and go approach to life, you'd hyphenate get up and go. That is, you'd put hyphens in between the words get, up, and go. Many words with hyphens are compound adjectives like football mad or poverty stricken. Finally, you often need to use hyphens to avoid confusion. There's a story about how a soccer manager wrote in the club programme that he hoped certain players would re-sign to play for the club the following season. But he forgot to put the hyphen between the re and the sign. So it looked like he was saying that he hoped certain players would resign from the club. The hyphen really can make all the difference.
شيء هذا قشن شكل عمل Re prefiksi, old qo'shimchasi qayta ma'nosini beradi-ku. Resign bor, chiziqchasiz yozilsa ishdan bo'shash degani. Resign chiziqcha bilan yozilsa qayta o'sha imzo chekmoq. Ya'ni bu yerda resign ishni tugatmoq, ishdan ketmoq, resign qayta shartnoma imzolab ishni davom ettirmoq. Bir-biriga qarama-qarshi ma'no beradi agar chiziqchani ishlatsak yoki tushirib qoldirsak.
The hyphen really can make all the difference. Okay, so I hope the principles behind using hyphens are a bit clearer now. But let's see if you can apply them. Try this exercise. We parked in the short-term parking lot. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. Note that short-term should be hyphenated because it is a compound adjective describing a type of parking lot. Her football-mad son went to see the game. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. Football mad should be hyphenated because it is a compound adjective describing the sun. After the summer, we'd like to reform the team again. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. A hyphen is important here to make it clear that you're talking about reforming the team rather than reforming it. It was an early Victorian building. Yes, that's it. Well done. Early Victorian should be hyphenated, as it's a compound adjective describing the building. One area of spelling where people often make mistakes is with capital letters. Some people leave most of them out. Some people put them in all over the place. But there are quite simple rules. You should always use capital letters for the first letter at the beginning of sentences, the names of particular people, places, and things. For example, the words John, London, and Thames are all capitalised because they are the names of a particular person, a particular place, and a particular thing. Words like boy, city, and river are not capitalised. You should also use a capital letter for days of the week and months of the year. So it's Monday and January, capital M and capital J. You should also use a capital letter for adjectives derived from proper nouns. For example, English, which is derived from England. You should also use a capital letter for the pronoun I. And you should also use a capital letter for some initials like CNN, UN, and the good old BBC. OK, so I hope the rules behind using capital letters are a bit clearer now. But let's see if you can apply them. Try this exercise. We went to the park on Friday. Yes, you've spelled the word correctly. Note how you need to capitalise Friday because days of the week, just like months of the year, are always capitalised in English. I really like Chinese food. Yes, you've spelled the word correctly. Chinese needs to be capitalised because it's an adjective derived from the noun China. You always capitalise adjectives like this. They went to France on vacation. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. They must be capitalised because it's the first word in a sentence, and you must always capitalise the first letter of the first word in a sentence. I think Peter scored the goal. Yes, well done. That's exactly how the word is spelt. Peter must be capitalised because it is the name of a particular person. Always remember that you need a capital letter for the names of particular people, places and things.